Hey, 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 everybody. On tonight's Power Perspectives that give you power, I want to talk about something that I see all the time. And it is this thing of loving someone to get them to love you. Okay? Um, and what that's about is thinking that you're going to love someone into loving you, that you're going to give them so much love, you're going to do so much that you're going to get them to love you. Okay, this is something that leads to a tremendous amount of disappointment and heartache for people who do it. Okay, because you cannot love someone into loving you. You cannot love them enough to make them truly love you. And you have to get in tune with yourself and the inner truth within. Okay? What I'm saying here is not something that is new to you. Okay? It's something you're disconnected from within yourself. Because if you didn't know it, okay, say for instance, you didn't know what I'm talking about here today. Well, what compelled you to get into this state of trying to love them into loving you? What triggered that? The fact that inwardly you already knew they didn't love you, so you knew you had to do something to get them to. Okay, so me saying that someone that you have to love into loving you doesn't love you is not something new to you. You knew this, and this is why you were compelled to get into this state of trying to love them to get them to love you. You already knew it. You knew you had to do something. You knew they didn't love you already. Because if you thought that they loved you already from a deep place and that was your inner truth, you wouldn't be loving them to get them to love you. You would just be enjoying the love that you're getting and reciprocating that love, and it would just be a back and forth. There would be no trying to lavish them with love to get them to love you. So the question is, why do you want the love of someone who doesn't love you? See, these are the things that you have to get into, and the places you have to go if you're on that cycle and you want to stop that cycle in your life. Okay, you have to get into what your ideas about love are. Okay, and your first examples of what relationships and love should be like. But it is going to lead to continuous heartbreak thinking that you can love someone into loving you. You cannot love someone enough to make them love you. You can love someone enough to make them accept your love more willingly. Okay? Where they will use you. You can love someone enough to make them use you. But you cannot love someone enough to make them love you. You can love them enough to make them be nice enough to continue to get your love. You can love them enough to make them agreeable enough to get your love. You can love them enough to make them allow you to be around a little bit more to shower them with your love. You can love them enough to make them allow you to buy them more things. You can love them enough to make them okay with, taking from you. But you will never love them enough to make them love you. Okay, if you find the right person, you can love them enough to get them to let you support them. Okay, see, these are the things you can get out of loving someone so much that you think you're going to get them to love you. Okay, yeah, you can love them enough to get them to allow you to support them, to get you to allow them to advance themselves and their life at your expense. This is the kind of stuff you can get. But you have to ask yourself, is that what you really want? Now, you can get those things and then psych yourself out and say, well, it must be love because they're still here taking from me. They're still here allowing me to give them all of this, so it must be love. I mean, if you want to live in that illusion in your life and you want to go through life psyching yourself out in that way, you can. Or you can get back connected to your own inner truth and heal the things within you that will cause you to want to love someone, to get them to love you, and actually attract someone who loves you and actually experience true love. Or you can settle for the illusion of someone loving you, that you psych yourself out in your own head while you pour yourself out and receive very little to nothing in return. Because you have to understand that when someone doesn't love you, they don't love you. They don't want to love you for whatever reason. Okay? And if you get your self-esteem up, that won't bother you. Okay, every person I ever meet is not going to love me. I'm not bothered by that. If I met someone and they didn't want to love me, I'm not bothered by that. I'm not meant for everyone to love. And I'm okay with that. Some people I will meet and they wouldn't like me. You know, I could meet some guys and I wouldn't be their cup of tea. That's okay. My self-esteem is not so low that that's going to hit me directly as some attack on, you know, my whole worth as a being. And so I need to overcome that and prove something to myself by getting them to like me or getting them to love me. No. So you have to ask yourself, what are you trying to prove here by getting this person that doesn't love you to love you? And who are you trying to prove it to? Because it's to yourself. More than you're trying to prove to them that you love them, you're trying to prove something to yourself. That you're worthy of love. And if you can love enough, you know, somebody will love you. And this is not the place you want to be coming from in dating. And you can see why, if you're coming from that place, you're going to have a lot of experiences of being used and abused. Undervalued, unappreciated, unloved. So these are the things you have to think about. If you have to get them to love you, it's because they don't. And you already know that. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to think about this. What do you want someone to love you for? You can love someone enough to get them to love you for what you've done for them. But see, that's never going to equate to them loving you for being who you are and loving you for you as a person. So even if you accomplish your goal of loving them to get them to love you, you're going to feel like a loser in the end. Because here it is like, ta-da, I've done enough to make them love me for it. Look at everything that I've given them and done for them and bought for them and everything else. And they love me for that. But they don't love you for you. They love you for what you have given them. And if that is your idea of love, is being loved for what you can buy for somebody, what you can do for them, and all of these external things that literally have absolutely nothing to do with who you are. Because here's the thing, everything you're doing, all of the quote unquote love that you're giving to get them to love you, guess what? Somebody else can come along and do better. Somebody else can come along who's got more money than you. Somebody else can come along who's doing more tricks and backflips and hanging from the chandelier than you. Is that what you want to be loved for? Because it's not for you. When somebody loves you for you, nobody else can come along and be you. But somebody else can come along and outdo you. And then they'll be on to that person. Because people who do, you have to understand the type of person you're going to get. If you can love somebody into quote unquote loving you, you have to understand the type of person you got. And you didn't get quality. Because you cannot buy the love of, and you can never buy love, period. But what I mean is you cannot buy a person to the point where they are going to stay with you and pretend to love you and love you for what you've done for them, unless that's a very low quality person. And they're so low quality that somebody else who has more, who's willing to pay a bigger price, they'll move on to that person. That's what you have to think about too. They didn't just do it for you. If you can love somebody into loving you, you have to understand they didn't do it for you. They did it for the tally of what you had to give them. And if somebody has a bigger tally, if I can talk, on to the next one. So then this is why a lot of you are wondering how somebody else comes along and then they're just off to that person. Well, there's more to offer there. Because anybody who would stay with you because of all of the love you gave, you have to understand what you're getting and the type of person it takes to do that. Okay? So that's something to think about. If you are struggling with that and you've been in the cycle of that, you can come on and do coaching with me and we can get that healed and get you out of that cycle and prepared to attract what it is that you really want. Because I can definitely show you how that cycle started and why and what you need to do to heal it. All right? So that's that, guys. I hope that it was beneficial. Talk to you later. Bye.